It's Friday, guys, which means one thing. Manchester City are back tomorrow in yet another game. They just keep coming, don't they? Thick and fast at the moment, all these games. Tomorrow's is a pretty big one as well. Yeah, the famous Manchester City are off to Wembley again, and this time it's the FA Cup semi-final against Brighton. I know people are so bored of all the attendance talk because I want to talk just about football. None of that nonsense that surrounds it. I don't care how many Blues are there as long as Manchester City get through to the final. So today we're going to take a closer look at that game and go through all the predicted lineups, Brighton's form, what to expect from them, my thoughts on the game and all that kind of stuff, and essentially just talk about a bit of football because that's what we're all here for. Before I go too far though, as ever, I want to say thank you to Rupinder Masson, my latest patron. Rupinder, you're an absolute hero. Here's your shout out, mate. And also if you want to get involved, patreon.com/Esteemed Company, get your name in the credits, you get invited to Patreon only Discord, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, there's some nice little benefits, and I appreciate your support for the channel. If not, as I said, keep watching these videos. But tomorrow's game, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Tomorrow's game against Brighton, and it's an important one, isn't it? It's one step away now from another final, one step closer towards that infamous quadruple. I just want to get to the final. As I've said before, domestic travel for me would be absolutely huge. The Champions League would be a bonus, and given the teams left in the competition now, in general, we should be winning this. That's not meant as any disrespect at all to the remaining teams, Watford, Wolves, Brighton. But we are obviously the best team left in the competition, and we really should be winning this. If you want to, we should just be winning it basically. Fingers crossed we'll get there. But this game is it's one now which I'm quite looking forward to because essentially, if we beat Brighton tomorrow, we tick off the FA Cup now until the season's finished. So basically, we've got the Premier League to focus on domestically and nothing else because the final obviously is after the last game of the season. So it's nice just to kind of put that one away potentially until hopefully we won the league. So I really like this game. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think in general it was nice. Obviously, the other day that we rested a few players. But anyway, I've run through some little bit of stats here for you. At the moment, we're on a run of 21 wins out of 22 games, which includes obviously the penalty shootout victory in the Carabao Cup final. And since promotion, Brighton have lost all 11 competitive away games against the established top six, scoring twice and conceding 24. City have won all three Premier League encounters between the two teams by an aggregate score of 7-1. So the omens are obviously in our favour, as you'd expect, I guess, in the modern era. I mean, I'm not trying to tempt fate or anything like that. I'm just saying they are literally the facts, so they are what they are. In general, this game is all kind of built towards us at the moment. There's also some interesting takeaways from the press conference. I particularly like this moment from Guardiola. Nothing to do with Brighton. Just talking about the Spurs player, Danny Rose, who said yesterday in the press that he's looking forward to retiring from football because the racism gets to him a little bit, which is a depressing thing to hear in 2019. It's really crazy that football has to deal with that. But Guardiola said on that when he was asked about it, if I see him on Tuesday, I will tell him the best way to fight and combat this terrible situation is to carry on fighting and being there every day. Guardiola, a classy man as always. There's a few little takeaways as well from journalists asking him, like, how do you get your players going? And he simply said, well, they just love playing football, which is nice to hear, isn't it? But on to the actual team news. There was some good news. It was a very good Friday. Aguero is nearly fit. Big news there, and apparently he travelled with the squad and could be involved tomorrow potentially, at least on the bench, I'm hoping. That's massive though, that's absolutely massive. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to happen, but it's still nice to hear. And even bigger than that, absolutely much bigger than that, Zinchenko, according to Guardiola, hopefully, he said, could only be 11 to 12 days. I thought he was out for the season. Guardiola initially said he's going to be out for a long time. If it could be less than 2 weeks, that's massive. And I'm so delighted for him. Essentially, they think it isn't a serious injury. Fingers crossed, touch wood and all that stuff, that he'll be back very soon. Because Zinchenko was just starting to adapt to this team. He was just starting to look comfortable as a left back. And he's such a good player. That's massive news. On the subject of left backs as well, Guardiola was, of course, asked about Benjamin Mendy's situation. This is what he said. He said, everybody has to help as much as Mendy. He can't do it alone. To arrive at April to win something more, it's incredible news for us that he's been training for a week. I mean, it's obviously in his broken English, but essentially he's implying that Mendy's been full training now for a week, and I'm going to presume he's going to travel with the squad tomorrow. I don't know that yet, but it looks promising, doesn't it? Which leads me nicely onto the lineup bit. Now, I've gone kind of obvious at this one because I looked at the last game and presumed there's going to be loads of changes again. I might have gone too far with the changes compared to the changes of the other day, but I did it anyway. In goal, it's Ederson. I think no one's surprised about that. I know some people say, well, maybe Muric could be, but that was never going to happen. It's obviously going to be Ederson in goal at this stage of the season. He's too important. This game is too important for us to mess around with that. Now, given Zinchenko's injury, I think we'll actually see Danilo go over to left back. It could be Mendy, but I think it'll be Danilo personally. I think Kyle Walker, therefore, will play at right back. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They did pretty well when they were on the pitch together the other night, and I think that's how we'll go into this game. And then I think we'll carry on with Stones and Laporte. Stones kind of needs the games, and Laporte, I think, is just a big player for this. You could see Kompany there maybe, but I think it'll be Stones and Laporte. Into midfield, I can personally see Fernandinho carrying on in midfield. It could be Gundogan, but I reckon it'll be Fernandinho. Then the old school three will be completed by De Bruyne and David Silva, in my humble opinion. David Silva obviously was rested the other day, so I'm expecting he'll come back into the team alongside Kevin De Bruyne, who was absolutely excellent the other day. If Kevin De Bruyne plays how he did the other night, hopefully we'll be coming home as FA Cup finalists, because he's that good. He's a difference maker to this team. Ahead of them, I reckon it'll be, I think there'll be two changes here. I think Mahrez and Sane, they didn't do anything wrong the other day, but I think they'll be dropped to the bench for this one. I think we'll see the golden boy, Raheem Sterling, come back on the left, and that means Bernardo Silva on the right. He's a big game player, a guy made for Wembley, and the kind of person I suspect will play in a game when it matters, and this game definitely matters. Guardiola will not leave him out at all. So those two there, either side of, obviously, Gabriel Jesus. He played well the other day, in my personal opinion. He just can't finish. Everything else is fantastic. Just that bit. Yeah. I think he'll score. I actually think he'll score. I think in general, Jesus is kind of like due a goal. He'll get it, I reckon. He'll work really hard. So that's my lineup there. Ederson, Walker, Stones, Laporte, Danilo, Fernandinho, De Bruyne, Silva, Bernardo, Jesus and Sterling, which obviously means no Foden. That's not a slight on Foden at all. I think it's just he'll get rotated out for this game, which makes sense. No Sane, no Gundogan, no Otamendi, no Vinny, no Mendy or Mahrez. Essentially, it looks like we're going to have a very strong bench. Maybe one of those two players will start. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think the team will be. So let's go on to Brighton. Indeed. No one really should underestimate Chris Hughton's Brighton, because Chris Hughton is a very likeable manager, a very tactically adept manager. Brighton themselves are currently sat in 15th. I think they're like 5 points clear. I'm tired, it's Friday. 5 points clear of Brighton, who are currently sat in 18th, so with a game in hand as well. So I think in general, they should be okay. They'll survive the Premier League this season. And this game for them is a big chance to do something pretty historic for Brighton and get to a final. They've got a chance of winning. And honestly, if they get past us, they've got a very good chance of winning. So I think they'll take it seriously. Chris Hughton was talking about the game, though, and essentially, he basically said he's going to sit deep and defend. He said, I think it's foolish to go toe-to-toe. I'm certainly not embarrassed to say that you have to be able to try and contain them. They have too many options if you feel that you can take the game to them. They have so many strikes that can open you up. The last thing you need to do is going into a game like this, and you're very quickly out of the game. So it looks like they're basically going to sit deep and just try and defend. On the big open Wembley pitch, I know technically it's probably the same size as most pitch, but it just feels open because of the size of the stadium. That could play into our hands. If Brighton sit back deep, I think we should be okay. I hope they do that in general, because I like those games, because I think in general we do break them down eventually. Brighton do obviously carry a bit of threat from set pieces, the likes of Shane Duffy and Lewis Dunk. They're willing to throw themselves, put it that way, throw themselves at the ball in the area. Then you've got someone like Glenn Murray, who's a striker who will run and run and run. He'll run the channels, he'll work his arse off all day. And he's the kind of person that could score a big goal if we're not focused. He's the kind of guy who could become an unlikely hero. We know what this competition can do to us, the FA Cup, in terms of creating unlikely heroes. So we've got to be careful. Brighton, we can't take him too lightly. In terms of how they got there, they beat Millwall and Pens, obviously, after a 2-2 draw there. They beat Derby 2-1. They drew 0-0 initially to West Brom, but they also then beat them 3-1 in the victory and in the replay. And they also beat Bournemouth 3-1 away. So it's not been the most testing runs to this, but they've got there, so fair play to them. And we can't say anything given the games we've had. In general, their form's kind of hit and miss. They lost the last two games in the league. Chelsea 3-0 midweek, and then obviously Southampton 1-0 the weekend. So they're not in fine form where we are at the moment, which leads me kind of like onto my prediction. I hate this bit. I always hate this bit. I think Manchester City should win this. I think we're very blessed to be able to rest the players that we've got at the moment. We've obviously made lots of changes. We've rotated our squad. We've got a bunch of world-class players to come back into the team. I think they'll be really focused. I think we'll want to win this. I think we'll go at it. And I think Wembley tends to bring the best out of us. I'm not trying to jinx it once again, but Wembley does seem to see the best of Manchester City Football Club. I think Guardiola will have it absolutely focused. And I think we'll go out Brighton, and I think we'll go out them with intensity. We'll play well, and we'll treat this like the most important game in the world at this second. And at this moment, it will be. I can see us going out at Brighton. Brighton will obviously battle for their lives. They'll try really hard. They'll sit deep. They'll defend. They'll be dogged and determined. But eventually, someone's going to have to make a mistake if we apply that pressure and we keep pushing them, someone will have to make a mistake at some point. And we've got game winners throughout the team. We've got obviously the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo, Silva, Raheem, Sterling. People can just score a goal out of nothing from long-range shots or whatever. And that's really useful. I would like to see us attempt that if it becomes obvious that Brighton are going to restrict us down the channels, cut inside, take a shot, because... that creates doubt, it creates opportunity. Obviously, we don't really need to tell Guardiola what to do because he's one step ahead of all of us, because he's an absolute savant-like genius in terms of football management. But I do think we should be bold and creative and flexible with how we approach this game. I'm not overly worried. But, you know, it's Wembley. Anything can happen at Wembley. But I'm still feeling pretty confident. I'm going to say Manchester City are going to win. I'm not going to put a scoreline on this one because I don't want to, but I think we should be okay. I think we should get to the final. Fingers crossed we get to the final. Guys, I want to know, as ever, what your prediction for the team is, what your prediction for the score is, what are you expecting from Brighton. Let me know in the comments below. As ever, I want to say thank you as well to these people scrolling down the side of me. See them? See these beautiful people there? These are my patrons, patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany. They help keep this channel going. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do this full time and create loads of wonderful content for all you Manchester City fans. If not, just keep watching these videos. Keep giving these videos likes because it actually genuinely helps loads. Get in the comments below. I do read all the comments even if I don't get to reply to them all because there's loads of them, like hundreds. But I do read them all. And it's really nice reading all the positivity and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go and chill and have a good Friday. Have a good Friday, everyone. Make sure you subscribe if you're new and I'll see you tomorrow.